Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I'm your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. And you find me warming myself by my fire here at Oak Lodge, where I'm making some additional video content for you folks to keep you entertained over this festive period. And I'm answering questions, and today's question comes from Rupert, who asks me, do you think being a chap is a state of mind or a way to dress? I have always said a chimp can wear a suit and still behave as a chimp, but a gentleman or a good person stays the same no matter what they wear. I would be intrigued by your thoughts. That's a really interesting thought process which Rupert has described there. And I've done it many times, but I want to just explain when I use the term chap on the channel, because I call the channel the Chap's Guide, and I often refer to us chaps when I'm talking about, you know, the way that I lead my life. I say it's a very chap way of life, and it's almost like a descriptive term. But for me, the word chap is shorthand for gentleman. I say chap as a shortened version of gentleman, and that's the way that I think about the term chap. And he's absolutely right. I think what Rupert says, it is more than just putting clothes on your back and you suddenly become something more refined and something more elegant. And I've actually spent some time thinking about this, and I do think that a chap has certain fundamental elements which have to be present for him to be able to call himself a gentleman or a chap in my parlance. And I'm going to share those 5 traits with you here and now as quickly as I can. Okay, now the first characteristic that a chap has to display in life is politeness and respect. All right, I believe that being polite and respectful to people that you encounter in life is at the very core of being a gentleman. And that means being polite and respectful to everyone, not just people who can do you a service or people who are higher up the status ladder than you. It is everybody that you encounter. It is the homeless person who asks you for money as you walk down the street, or the person in a lowly paid job who is serving you at the supermarket, or whatever the situation may be. You treat everybody with the same level of reverence and respect. You say please, you say thank you. You apply the same attributes of politeness to everybody, whether they can do something for you or not. It doesn't matter the background of that person. It is about you. It's about you, your application. And it is a really inclusive part of being a gentleman, in my opinion. Now, the next tip really is not going to be a surprise to you. It's sartorial elegance, because a gentleman should know how to dress well. However, it is not just about adhering to a bygone dress code where people all dress in a certain way. That's not at all what I mean by dressing well. An intentionally well-dressed man, which is a term I often use, is somebody who understands how to blend the traditional with the contemporary to fit in society today and look elegant and debonair, but without looking eccentric. All right? The modern chap understands the value of clothing. He understands that if he takes the time and effort to dress well, there will be positive outcomes for him. He will achieve better services from people. He'll get a better seat in the restaurant. He might get upgraded. He might get improved service when he goes into a store, because people will draw certain perceptions about his appearance. Really, it is about a fusion of the traditional and the contemporary, and the outcome in this evolutionary process is finding that balance where you look smart and elegant and not like a clown on the way to working a shift in the circus. And the gentleman understands all of these things and puts it in place in his attire. Now, my third attribute in which I think a chap should have, without question, in his life journey is integrity and honesty. It's really fundamentally important that a gentleman has a strong moral compass and that he follows that moral compass in all aspects of his professional and his personal life. The term, your word is your bond, is something which I lead my life by. If I say I'm going to do something, I am going to do it. And the only reason why I don't do it is if some act of God has prevented me from achieving that. And that carries over, as I say, into all aspects of life and all actions. It's about the ethics that we approach life. We often talk about clothing on this channel, about where we buy our shoes and our clothing. And I think to myself these days, not just what's the best I can get for the money I've got to spend, but now I'm starting to follow my moral compass a little more. I'm trying to buy things which originate in my own country, because I know that if things are made here in the UK, a first world country with a very strong moral compass, with very strong human rights ideology, I know that the people who make those items for me, they're going to be paid well, they're going to be treated well, and they're going to have good working conditions. Sometimes, if I look at clothing and I see they've been made in certain countries, I cannot be sure that those same standards have been applied where those things were made. And if I buy it, I am contributing to those standards being maintained in those countries. But if I buy from my own country, I know I am doing my bit to make sure that ethics are maintained. That is how we apply integrity and honesty in the way that a gentleman goes through life. Yes, your word is your bond, but also we think beyond that. We follow a moral compass and we always adhere to the way that we think what is right and what is wrong. Now, the fourth area in which I think a gentleman should absolutely incorporate into his journey through life, and that is the cultivation of knowledge. Without a doubt, because the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong journey for all of us, or it should be if we seek to be the best version of ourselves. And, the modern chap should be intellectually curious. We should always be open to broadening our mindset, even changing our minds about things that we have set our minds on in the past when we get new information. It's not about just doggedly sticking to the same sort of philosophy to life. Be open and broaden your mind. And the way that we can do that is to just learn, to read more, read extensively, broadly, not just fiction for entertainment, but also factual reading for enlightenment. That's certainly the way that I'm able to do it. And you can do that even if you just read one page of a book a day, or if you're driving in your car, instead of tuning into the country music channel, tune into the news channel. Track down an international news channel. The BBC World Service is a great place, wherever you live in the world, to broaden your outlook on life. Whilst it broadens your outlook on life, it then allows you to see the world through the perspectives of other people. And you will suddenly get a more strategic view of life rather than what could be just the tactical view of what affects you. So that intellectual curiosity will certainly make you a much more wise and broadened person, which you can then take into your own life, and it helps you overcome the challenges which you face, because the more knowledge you have, the more equipped you are to deal with the rigours of life. So, cultivate knowledge to be a broader chap. And finally, the fifth attribute which you should have if you're a gentleman is kindness and service, because the modern chap will seek out opportunities to do something for his community, not because he has to, because he sees the value in strengthening his community by his contribution towards it. And that could mean any number of things, acts of kindness or acts of service within your community. And it can be things like volunteering. If you're not spending a portion of your free time in an act of volunteering to make life better for other people, have a think about how you could do that. Because who knows, tomorrow some tragedy could befall you, and you may need to hold your hand out to the kindness and the volunteering service of others. If it's your opportunity to help others, do so, because you never know when the tables will be turned. Mentoring is a really fabulous way to give back to people around you and to pass on your legacy to others. Mentoring typically takes place when you've got a bit of knowledge, got a bit of seniority and maturity, and you can pass that on to somebody who is on their journey through life. It can be a marvellous way of leaving your footprint in the world if you're able to share your philosophies and ideologies about different things with others and help them on their journey. Whether you've been helped or not, if you have the key to help somebody else, it would seem stupid not to do so, in my opinion. And then simply just being there for people can be all that's necessary to show kindness and service to the people around you. If something happens in a neighbouring community, be one of the people who offers to help. Maybe it's just giving money to a charitable cause. That's all you can do at the stage of life you're at. Or it could be, more importantly, giving time. But the good gentleman understands the value of his contribution to the world around him. He seeks out opportunity to make the most of his kindness and service in order to help others improve their journey to Chap Nirvana. So there we go. If I was to put it in a nutshell, I would say that the modern chap is a fusion, really, of traditional values and modern sensibilities, all brought together in one place with a broad understanding of the world around him, a intellectual curiosity of what's going on and what's happening, and a desire to play an active part within that journey himself. Not just somebody who doesn't have a moral compass, who's only self-centered, who's only interested in acquiring shiny things for the sake of personal improvement. It is really about what you can do for others as much it is about what you can do for yourself. So there we go. Those are my thoughts on what I think a modern chap is. And I hope you enjoyed that, Rupert. So if you have a question for me, throw it in. You can drop it into the comment section or send me it in an email directly. If you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee, one-off thing, or you can become a patron. My patrons get additional video content, especially for them, and you will find the links to all of that in the show notes below. So until the next time, work on becoming the best chap that you can be. Pick one of those attributes, see if you fall short, and if you do, do something to make a change. And I will see you again very soon.